When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gain, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gain.
Cass and I are going to continue our episode from last week because, we just kept bubbling over with more ideas and more things to talk about on this idea of like the, not real manifesting, but the big manifesting, deeper stuff, and the two different pathways that you can take, how they're fluid, how they combine when you're in one versus when you're in the other, and lots of juicy stuff.
So much juicy stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah.
But first, Cass, tell everyone what you're excited about.
I am excited about, there's so much to be excited about. I'm like, I'm excited about this book idea that has been sitting there for a while, and I've wanted to write, and I've taken moments and inspiration to write the outline. I've written it a couple different times just because it felt good for that moment to play in that space. And it really, a couple weeks ago, was having a conversation with somebody I want to hire to support like PR in my business, and we were talking about it, and I just got even more excited, and it was like, yes, this is the moment to write that, and this is the thing. And then as I just live in that excitement, like all these other possibilities keep opening up, which is so much fun, and they're so inspired, and it's just and it's just idea after idea, and it's so fun. Like I'm just so excited about that chapter in that book. So it's exciting.
I love that. Like you totally know you're in the zone or in the flow when there's like next idea. And it's like ideas are almost overwhelming.
Yes. And I want to put this caveat, because if you're I was a money chaser, that's my former money story. And so, and this happens with my clients. So the difference between when you're in alignment and it's idea, they're all in the same vein. So for me, they're not
like scattered.
Yeah, it's not like, I should write this book on this topic and then this other book on this topic, and then I should go do XYZ, and then this is my favorite, I should buy this domain about this and this domain about this and this domain about this, because that'd be a great business idea. It's not. They're not all going in different directions. Like when you are the difference, which I'm like, this is a cool, I knew this, but it's coming into words right now, which is super fun. And I know my clients that are listening that are former money chasers are going to like get this. Like everything falls in a line. It's like this idea, and then this can build on that idea. And then this idea is that, and this supports that way. And then there's another, like a little bit different idea, but the same vein. And so they're all connected versus being separate. So
yes,
if you're a money chaser, that's how I would tell you, when you're aligned and going after ideas or following inspiration versus chasing.
That's awesome. I feel like that applies that could apply in every area. For anyone who's like wondering that right path, I feel like I totally am experiencing this. Like I just last week went and bought 3 different domains, but they were all in the same. It's all for the same thing, right? It's like and then this could lead to that, and then there'll be this part of this, and then and I was like, cool, that was fun. Yeah,
that is fun. Yeah. Oh man, and I'm so excited. Like I love when I get so much juice when I like see that, like something like that just happened. That's super fun.
Yeah.
For me. So I'm also excited about that, because now I'm going to like add that to a different book, like for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, which is so funny. Like I have to share this part because we need to hear it. So I was thinking the other day, just because I've been in business. And so one of the things I was just playing with was like writing, like your business, change your business money story, right? Which is a little bit more specific to somebody who's an entrepreneur and has a business. And so you can see how your money story is playing out in your business. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just that's a great idea. And I'm like, I don't know how that looks yet. Like,
Shelf
I don't
it
know.
for now.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what all goes into that. Cause like, I know some things, but I don't know everything. And like, here's one answer. Like, that's a chapter right there. Or that's, Yeah. So that's how like inspiration works. And I love sharing it real time.
Yeah. Literally real time.
Yes.
I'm just working.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing this as I'm talking about it.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we have a different topic. I could go so much into this topic. But what are you excited about?
You always good, Cass.
I know, right?
I'm so excited about getting married. You
Yay!
guys,
Sorry.
I'm so in love. It's better than I could have dreamed of. It continues to get better. Every little thing is like so delicious and like so deeply, oh my God, this is happening. And it's that same feeling of like, it's exciting and yet totally like I'm totally ready for this. And it's so amazing being in this spot, knowing where I was and how like all the feelings are so natural. That used to be a thing for me. I used to like I thought feelings, but I was really like trying to feel them. And it's just like pouring out. And I think it was a couple of days ago, I read an old script about the day before my wedding. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting married now. Like, this is so
yes.
awesome. And it's just I'm so like deeply, Lisa and I are so deeply connected. The details don't even matter. And that is like so grounding for all of this because the wedding details have been amazingly falling into place effortlessly. And anytime your mind wants to go, oh my God, what about this? It's like, oh, but I'm marrying her. And like, that's the most amazing part. And so that's what I'm excited about. Yeah.
I am also excited about that.
About marrying us?
Yeah, I'm so excited about marrying you. Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Okay. So where did we end up talking, or where did we finish off last time? I know I opened up a whole big can of worms.
You did.
But let's start again with what people think. Yes?
Oh, yeah, we can start with that. Or I made some notes like while you were talking at the end of the last show.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool because I think this will help people. Like, so there's sort of what we call the stuff, which is specific manifesting, and that's more of your short game. So those are all S's. Mm-hmm. That worked out well.
Yes.
This other one works out well, but a little bit different. So, or there's manifesting
long game
a life.
Is life.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Long game is life. And it's really about being a manifester and embracing that, like, you're always a manifester. Like, you're always, and it's not, I want to say this caveat right now. It's not about being like, oh, how did I manifest that bad thing? It's about when something happens that is unexpected or unwanted, how do I choose what's next? How do I create what's next? Just want to throw that just popped into my mind. So if somebody's hearing like being a manifester and owning like I manifest everything, it doesn't mean that you have to like beat yourself up. It means that you're like, what it really means is I know I can create what's next. I know I can choose. I know I have energy that influences what happens now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like
lifelong game.
Keep going. Yeah. Lifelong game.
Mm-hmm.
I like to add to that when we talk about that if something comes in that you didn't expect or wasn't something you really prefer, like really, really, really resist judging it as bad. And just if we can take off that meaning we're assigning to it as bad, it opens up a whole new world because all it truly is information. Like all that's coming is information. And then you get to decide what you do with that. But the second you put your judgment on it, you're kind of already getting caught up in that part of it. But you have all the conscious power, you have the power And that comes through your choice of how you're describing that.
Yes.
So,
always.
yeah.
Yeah. If you judge it, you said almost, you're always putting it, I think, it's taking you down the path of not where you want to go.
Right. And I think that it's harder so if you've already judged something, it's harder to change your opinion now of it. That this is awful.
Yes.
And then be like, oh, but I'm supposed to think this is good. But if you catch it before the judgment, then you have like more space. Then there hasn't been the kind of momentum building there or the energy put into that story. So you have more room to start the new story. So
yes. Ooh, and this is a whole other story, but I'm gonna say it right now. It's about being present through everything. Like if you are just present in that thing and choosing what's next, like you're never going like why? You're never in that judgment space. You're just in it.
You're
like
never analyzing.
Yeah. How do I show up? How do I show up as my future self? How do I show up as my current self? How do I show up as my best self in this moment?
Yes. We distract ourselves like crazy. We don't even know we're distracting ourselves by stuff like that. The other day, I was doing something for the new course, and I was feeling for a second overwhelm about all these things I had to do. And then I was reminding myself, oh yeah, overwhelm is just keeping you in your comfort zone. Like so you don't move forward.
Right? Yes.
And I'm like, oh yeah. And like that awareness was like, oh, okay, then I can let it go because it's so important to me to be doing and serving in this way. Yes, that's what I want. That's what I'm here for. And so having that awareness of like, instead of like, why, how do I fix this? How do I feel better? How do I make this easier? Just put that aside and be, and just like Cass said, be present with what's happening in that exact moment and where do you want to go from there? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how we got onto this. But
I don't either, but like that's a whole other show, how we distract ourselves from getting what we want.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can come back. So do we want to, I think the lifelong game, the short game stuff will come up as we talk about this. Do you want to talk about the $100,000 example?
Yes. Go.
Okay. So we've been talking about, what is it to sort of manifest stuff or this one-off thing versus like having this life, right? And so you can, like, if you want, you could manifest $100,000. You can manifest anything, right? But then you'd have to manifest another $100,000, right?
Right.
And so
that just sounds like a lot of work.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to answer this because I can almost hear like a listener going, well, then why wouldn't you just manifest millions by winning the lottery? Well, here's why. You can totally do that. And I believe, like it's been shown, you have to grow into the person who can manifest that. Like that's a long game because if not, like energetically, if you're not ready and you manifest millions, you have to start over anyway. Like there's
right.
so many examples of that. You can't keep it, right? And that's not true for everybody. It doesn't have to be true. And when we're thinking that, I want to say, like, I believe manifesting the lottery is a long-term game because you have to be the person who can have that, who can experience that, who can hold on to that, who is the person who is good with that amount of money, right? Yeah.
I just realized something.
Yeah.
So see if this resonates, Cass, because you know my journey. I love falling in love. I love love. I'm really good at manifesting falling in love.
You are really good at that, actually. Yeah.
And until I became the person who was in like true love, ready to experience true love, then I didn't like meet my partner. But that's the difference there is the beingness. I was like the person in love, like to my core versus manifesting falling in love. Big difference.
Yeah. Say that again. I was in love at my core. Like say that part again.
Like I became the person who was in love. Just period.
Yes.
That was my vibration. Versus manifesting falling in love. Yeah.
Yes, because you had it internally. Mm-hmm. Right? And
then
so
it could fully show up. Then the full experience and expression of that could show up.
Yeah, because otherwise you just have to keep manifesting another person to fall in love with.
Right. Which is
Right?
what I kept doing.
Yes. I knew that's what you're saying. I just want to highlight that make sure everybody's connecting these dots. Like
Yeah.
that, like, because you love being in love, you just had to keep creating that situation until it was you. Yes. Which is the same thing. I love that this example hit you. It's the same thing as like, I can manifest $100,000, but manifesting another 100,000, which I think it's also funny. You're like, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, like, yeah, it does, right? Because then it's like this whole other thing. It's like manifesting falling in love again and again. It's like 100,000, like, oh, I got to like do it again because, and it's different, right? You do have to grow and you have to change, but you have to become this person who can who's manifested $200,000 or who has $200,000. Like, yeah, for me, because I'm all about the long game and manifesting the life, it feels easier to just become the person who's like, to take the time to become the person who's, for me, it's an easy millionaire. It's not just a millionaire.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Whose life is easy. Like, I don't just want $1 million. Like, my life says my life is still easy with that amount of money. It's still fun. It's still playful. It's still growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to come back to, I think I said this at the end of the last show, but we want stuff. So we want to play the small game. It's always because of how we think we're going to feel when we have that. And so when you play the long game, you're just like skipping you're bypassing the middleman. So you're bypassing the stuff and you're going directly for the feeling. And so you're going to get the stuff. It has to come because it matches the feeling.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So much. I'm just like so much.
I like
good.
this long game, short game thing.
Me too. It's so fun. Like, again, I don't know, should we, like, what came up in the last episode for me is that I've actually made choices that were for the long game. And so should I share that one of those now?
Yeah.
So it was pretty soon after, I've been writing about this in the business course. That's fun to relive this. You know, one of my biggest intentions, or I don't know if biggest, but my first, this is the life I want intention, the long game intention was I make $500,000 for my bed and my balcony. And not long after that, there was an opportunity, which I attracted because it was, there was a property. I don't know if if you remember this, but there was a property. I was at a closing for one property and there was, I don't know, we were waiting on paperwork or something. So we're just sitting around talking with the closer and my agent and me. And it was just the three of us. And, we were just talking about what I did and he's talking about me and all that. And, she says, "Oh, I have this friend who has this property. It was an old house in Denver that was divided up into 5 or 6 units." And she goes, she hates it. She wants to get rid of it, blah, blah, blah. And which happens when people don't go into investing with the right mindset and in their power, right? And so, and I'm like listening to this, I'm listening to location, I'm like listening to about the units, and I'm like, oh, this is a gold mine. Like, this is potential, right? And so, and it wasn't on the market. So like, I just had to hear about it from her. And so she put us in contact. Anyway, we went and looked at it and it needed some work, and like the price she was going to give us, like I could see all of the numbers. The numbers lined out to be, I could make $500,000 easily on that property. And the deciding factor wasn't, did I want the money? It was the long game, short game. Like, I had manifested the opportunity to make $500,000.
Yes.
And sure, if I would have made $500,000 on that, I could have made more money. But what I wanted was my business. Like, I wanted my life. I wanted the ease and I wanted the life. And so I made the choice to go for the long game instead of that short game $500,000.
Right. Because then you would have had, that's an awesome example. Then you would have had the outcome or the result one time. Right. And then had to do it again. To get actually what you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have,
that's a great
I would have
example.
had, I would have to do it again. Like, and that sounds like a lot of work, right? Creating another opportunity. Like, I could have done it. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, oh, I could have created it. I could have made more money. I could have turned that into my life. Doing it once sounded fun. It sounded amazing, right?
Yeah.
The thought of trying to reproduce that every year does not sound fun to me, right? And, oh, you said something that I wanted to highlight. 500,000. So it was doing it over again, but it was like making that choice. Like, do I want this life or do I want this specific thing?
Yes. And the only way you were able to make that choice and to understand what's going on is because you were connected to the life you want to create, the life experience that you want. It wasn't like you decided the how, the how is no part of this, and you didn't know how you were going to get there, but you knew that you knew it wouldn't fit because you know what kind you wanted. So that's why it's so essential. I mean, Cass and I both do this with all our clients, is getting that, what's the experience of that life? What is this vision that you are creating, that you are stepping into? It's so essential.
It is. And you know what? I'm remembering so many things about this. Maybe it wasn't, but I want to say this was before the workshop existed. And so I'm going to have to check the timeline. Like, my business in its existence today, like, I wouldn't have had time and space to create the Future Self Workshop and the Future Self Work that I do now had I gone down that path.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is that there was this mansion that I wanted, which was awesome around the same time. And
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like, if I flipped this one, like, I think I'd have enough money to, like, get that one. And it worked out because that one also had income properties around it. But it didn't feel right. Like, the thought of owning the house felt right. The thought of having a retreat there, even though I didn't know what the retreat would look like, felt good. But it didn't feel it, right? Because the whole life couldn't happen there. Because if I had made the $500,000 choice the one time, it would have either pushed the future self-work way off or would have taken me down a totally different path. But it wouldn't have been now when the mansion comes up and the opportunity, like, it will all just click into place because I've created the life that surrounds that. Yeah.
And then pieces just plop, plop, plop into place.
Yeah.
Click, click, click. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
It makes me, so when we're talking about the long game, there's like a really important element here that I don't want to totally miss. And that is, when you're in the long game, you are signing up for more growth work, like, yeah. So,
yeah.
And Cass and I have talked about this before, but that, I think, is the biggest difference in all of these. Is you can do it. You can solely manifest stuff and use your focus and attune your belief. But the bigger things require you to become someone different to keep them. And that requires letting go of old stuff and going into new places and new beingnesses. That requires you to be uncomfortable at some times. And that's the biggest difference, is people don't necessarily, when they get into manifesting, it's this idea, it comes with the idea that I can do this easy and quick. And it's, this is going to be a magical way to do this. And it is. It totally is.
It is.
Compared to the way the rest of the world lives. But the magic, like, the growth is so fulfilling. And just as Cass and I have given different examples, the magic comes in the awareness and the deliberateness of all of the unfolding. And it's really hard to explain it until you experience it. I know there's tons of you guys out there that are in our group and that are writing about all the things that are happening. And that's it. That's happening. It's still good to hear this, hear it explained, hear it talked about. And then, because when you do go through it, it's like, yes, this is what they were saying.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the growth. Yep. There's a lot of growth.
Yeah. So the long game is, and just one more thing about growth. It could be a whole other show, I know, but to retouch on it is uncomfort doesn't mean terrifying. Okay. So I don't want this idea of uncomfort to turn anyone off, because to get anything new, we need to be someone different. And this is just a part of life, but uncomfort is not scary. Like, that's where the alignment practice and the alignment work that we teach is so powerful, because you do that first, and then you can take actions that are uncomfortable but not scary, because there's so much trust there already that you feel still secure and safe going through it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uncomfortable is just uncomfortable. And when you label it as that, like, and just like, okay, I have to get comfortable here. And this is the vision, that hit me when we were talking about that, is like, what if you were trapped in an elevator, right? It would start to get hot. Like, but you just have to find a way to just be okay in that space, right? Because until it's over. And that really is what it's like, which is, don't freak out if you're claustrophobic. Use a different example. But like, just like sitting there, right? And wanting to get on with your day. Like, you're going to have to, like, okay, accept certain things aren't going to get done. It's going to get a little bit hot, and you're just going to have to like deal with a little uncomfortableness. And like, you're going to have to deal with like, well, just getting comfortable with this might be a 5-minute fix, or I might be here a couple hours, like all of those are what happens in that uncomfortableness. It doesn't have to be, again, if you're claustrophobic, find a different example, but like, it doesn't have to, it's just uncomfortable. It's just not comfortable. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You get to even actually assign what that means for you. Because you totally can get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. There's like, you can find an ease in that. I've totally experienced that in lots of different areas. And I think, like, take public speaking, for example, one of the things a lot of people are nervous about. I haven't heard any professional speaker say, I don't get nervous. I'm comfortable with this. Like, there's always a little bit of nerves. There's always a little something that they just choose to move through, and with awareness that it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
All right. Awesome. So how do you want to wrap up?
I want to wrap up with this, that you're going to have an easier path to whatever you want if you actually choose long game or short game. Both are awesome. Both work. We've talked about that. Like, they both will work. You can use your focus and attention. And I think you really have to understand who you are and what you want, because what you want right now. Yeah. Yeah. What won't work awesome is bouncing between these two, because they're just different, And so you don't have to choose it forever, but I'm always about making a choice, because we can always choose differently later, but kind of bouncing back is probably going to delay manifesting on both sides.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And be frustrating.
And be frustrating and create more struggle. Yeah. I like, too, the idea, okay, so if you just sit there and ask yourself, okay, well, what do I want? Does it feel better to go after creating this life right now? Or does it feel better to focus on manifesting a new house? Like, what are you more called to in this moment? And then in a week, check in again. And then, like, it's just like we said, it's fluid, and your guidance is going to come. Your guidance will tell you what will be the more powerful path for you in every moment. So listen.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Go be awesome. Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.